I was power washing.
You're a genius.
Thank you. Well, this has been just delightful.
But you gave me COVID, so fuck you.
Yeah. I don't want to be Beppa. GMat.
Is there anything for dessert or something? Oh, Mario! Oh my God!
Woo.
Hometown Spider-Man.
Yay. I need help with doing a push-up.
This is still going?
Yep. She's ready? Everybody ready? Let's just do it.
How do I look? You're not going to let me look a fool.
You don't look a fool. You look beautiful. Beautifully foolish. All right. Here comes an intro, everybody. Here comes a big one. Woo, GMat. Yay. Hello and welcome to episode 199.5 of the GMat podcast.
Mr.
GMat.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Very mean.
Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
The GMat podcast.
I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Okay.
Today's episode of the GMat podcast is brought to you by our merch, which I'm wearing. Get yourself a GMat podcast hoodie. They're very comfortable, and if you have COVID, they'll keep you warm through the entire thing. That intro is brought to you by Wonderboy. Thank you, Wonderboy, for submitting that intro in the Discord.
Good one.
We've got a whole bunch of intros just been submitted in, so please send your intros to contact@therealgmat.tv, and they will be played on the podcast, and we would love to hear them. Thank you. If you'd like to support the show and support us and help us to keep making content, go to patreon.com/the GMat podcast, pledge any amount, get access to the post show, cut the music. Amazing. Perfection.
We are some Adam Fandlers in this house. That was an accident, but you know what? It's good.
It's good.
We're real Adam Fandlers.
It sets everybody up for the tone of the whole thing.
And, you know, when you plugged the merch, it made me realise I still don't have any merch of my own.
I think I got you some.
Seems like a cram.
You were wearing my Doy shirt last
Oh,
night.
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I wear lots of the merch because it's yours and I steal it. But
that's why I'm like, there's no point getting one in your size because there's no trade backs.
Because they don't make them in extra small. They probably do, but that's not.
I had notes. Did I have notes? I wrote notes for the podcast we were going to do last week, and I want to find them. Maybe they're in my phone because I haven't looked at them, and I think it'll be interesting to be like, what are we talking about today? Oh yeah. So everybody, 199.5.
COVID FM.
COVID FM in the morning. Me and Beck, I got COVID first. I was the first of us to get hit with the COVID.
Where do we start? We both got it.
Hold on, let me, here we go. All right. Yeah, I got loads of notes. I didn't even need the book. I'm just going to use my phone. They're in my phone. I usually transfer them to the book.
He's going off.
The book's gone.
Woo.
So we're always a week ahead for the podcast. And we were still going to be a week ahead, but we needed another week to do episode 200 because we needed another week to plan it. And so we were going to record 201 prematurely, and then on the week that 200 came out, record 200 and then have 200. It's an annoying process, but we try to keep ourselves a week ahead.
Because we want 200 to be a big one, right?
Yeah. And I needed just another week to do it. But then I got COVID, which kind of worked out. So that week we didn't record anything, and 199 came out. And now we're up to, our actual week of lockdown because I got COVID on the Friday through Friday. The podcast comes out on Saturday. We just don't have time to.
We've caught up to ourselves.
Yeah. So this week, episode 200 is supposed to come out, and we can't record with the boys. And I don't want to do a Discord podcast for 200.
We want it to be good.
Yeah.
And we're not ready for it to be good yet.
So we're holding off, and we're doing 199.5 to get something out. And then 3 days after, so yeah, I get COVID. That was the plan. And then 3 days after I get COVID, I stayed away from Beck. I locked myself in this room, in the podcast room.
Yeah, are we telling this story proper?
Okay, yeah.
Well, did you ever have chickenpox parties when you were a kid?
I don't.
Do you know what they are?
I got chickenpox, but I didn't. I don't think my parents took me to get it.
So they used to be a thing back before we had a vaccine. I think there's a vaccine for chickenpox now, but parents used to take their kids, like if a kid at school or whatever one of their little friends got chickenpox, because if you don't get chickenpox as a kid, I believe, I'm not a doctor, but I believe if you get chickenpox as an adult, it's like way more severe.
Yeah. You can die and stuff.
Yeah, so parents would take their kids to get purposely infected so that they could get it out of the way, and then they know that they've had it and it's all good. And I kind of think that happened to us with COVID. I kind of think we all got just sprayed with COVID so that we could all get it at the same time. That's,
Are you talking about your theory?
No, it's not really a theory. I think it's a funny bit that happened to us, because we all went to rehearsal and like half the people in that room came out again with COVID.
Yeah. And
so whether we wanted to or not, we had a chickenpox party.
I don't think you got it at the rehearsal.
No.
I
wish I had have, honestly, because then we could have been side by side. Now I'm like 3 days behind you, so you're going to get out of ISO on Friday and I don't get out until Sunday.
Yeah, but what am I going to do on Friday and Saturday, honestly?
Do all my errands for me. Walk the dog.
So, yeah, I was in this room for 2 days.
Yeah, so there was that little crossover where I was still testing negative and you were fully posy. You were full posy.
And I thought it was a better idea because we've done so well to avoid getting COVID. And call us crazy, we really didn't want to get it because we don't know what the long term things are.
We're those losers that are still wearing masks or in a group of people who aren't, because we're just like, we don't know what this is.
We don't know. And I've just heard so many people being like, oh yeah, I got COVID and now I can't sleep properly. And it's like, oh yeah. Or my old man who's like, I got COVID and I just run out of breath so quick.
No, I can't remember words anymore.
I was like, how long ago did you get COVID? It's like about 3 months. I'm like, and you still just run out of breath? I'm like, that sounds shit. Or more scary for us, I don't know if obviously you care, but one of my only hobbies and outlets that isn't video gaming, which is my job, is singing and doing performing arts. And we do a lot of shows and stuff. And the idea of COVID, I've heard people being like, COVID fucked up my voice forever. And I'm really
worried about that. Yeah. Oh, we haven't talked about that. This is the first time mentioning it. But yeah, I've been sitting with that since even before I tested positive, because I knew it's only a matter of time. We live in the same house, we're all up on each other. There's no way you weren't going to give it to me,
The people that have said that to me, though, I'm just trying to think if I never know anymore. I've said so many things on the podcast where I talk shit about people and they go, I was listening to that, and I go, oh shit, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. So when I talk shit about people, it comes from a place of love. The people who've told me that that it's fucked their voice up was post-audition sort of thing where it almost feels like an excuse. So I don't know if it actually did fuck up their voice or if it's now a good excuse to be like, oh, I fucked up because COVID fucked up my voice.
I can't afford to have my voice fucked up anymore because I'm already struggling with the show that we're in.
Listen, I had a little sing yesterday to myself and I'm already sick and I was like, oh, I could still sing. So I think we'll be fine.
I don't even feel like I want to try. Like I'm too scared to even try singing because I'm worried because I've been coughing my guts out and, any vocal coach or whoever will tell you should avoid coughing at all costs because coughing is a traumatic event for your vocal cords. Well, I've been coughing nonstop real hard for days and days, and every time I'm like, coughing is a traumatic event for your vocal cords.
Your voice could take a real beating. You have a strong voice. I'm not worried about... You have a lower voice as well. Like, I've never been worried about vocal nodes and stuff with you. Is you've got a hefty voice. It's sopranos and those people who get vocal nodes.
I kind of tell myself that even if one day I did get like the full Cosima. Did you ever watch Australian Idol?
Not really, no.
I think it was season 2 or maybe it was season 1 with Guy Sebastian. Somebody out there is going to know what I'm talking about. Maybe just mum. But there was a contestant called Cosima DeVito. I remember her so well. This was like a huge coup back in the day. She was like 3rd or something and I think she got nodes. It was like the first time I ever remember hearing about nodes. And she was still singing, she was still performing, and she, good on her. But I remember there was this one, she went to go sing this big note and nothing came out. Like it was just a rasp. Mm-hmm. And it like went down in Australian television history as being like doing a Cosima. And I told my mum the other day, I was talking about how rehearsals were going. I'm like, oh, I fully did a Cosima at rehearsal the other day. And she's laughing. She's like, oh no, this was like 20 years ago and she still knows what that is. So somebody out there is going to know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to look it up. I want to see. I love people bunging notes.
Yeah, I don't even know if she bung it. I just think nothing came out when she tried. So yeah, that's a fear. That's a fear of mine.
Well, that's the thing. Vocal notes leaves dead spots in the voice.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't stress. The more you stress, the worse it'll be.
Well, hopefully if anything happens, I'll just get sexier and raspier, and I could be like Katie Lang or something.
Exactly.
Make it work for my brand, I'm hoping.
I'm a little nervous to get back to rehearsals and just see how it goes coming out, but you know, we'll build it up, we'll work it up, we'll
And
go slow.
we're just so tired, and like I have this step tracker on my phone that like I try and, you know, you're meant to aim for 10,000 steps a day or something, and that's just never, we're not those kind of people. We're not 10,000 steps a day people. But, you know, I try and I tell myself if I get over 1,000 steps, that means I have at least moved my body a little bit during that day. That sort of has become my yardstick. And yesterday it was like, you did 80 steps because I've just been sitting on the couch just trying to rest. But I just like having to do that for a week and then getting back to rehearsals where we have to sing and dance at the same time, which was already hard because I'm a fat prick.
I was doing
after 2 years of COVID.
I was doing squats. Don't say that about yourself. Don't say you're a fat prick.
I mean, spiritually I am.
I was doing I was doing squats yesterday and I got just knackered.
Yeah.
Remember I did like 15, like no weight, just what's it called?
Just body squats.
Just fucking naked squats. just
raw dog and squats.
raw dog and squats. And after 15, I was like, man, I'm out of breath. It's been.
Well, how many would you get on a good day?
I could squat for days. I can squat
You can?
forever. I won't run out of breath doing squats. My legs will give out before my lungs give out. So
This is to show how off the rails and how much I haven't been looking after myself. I'm drinking water out of an old Coke bottle.
people get through COVID pretty easy. Some people go, I barely felt anything, but it's been real fucking gnarly for us.
Yeah.
I had 2 days of itchy throat. Here was my process. Before, I think I tested on like the third day I tested positive, but 2 days of itchy throat where I was like, my throat feels a bit funny. I might be coming down with something. Because there was also colds, flus going around. So I was like, could be a flu. And then 3 days of just snot, throat, head, fever, the whole thing. Like just three. Like obviously the third day was better than the first day, but
You had pretty much gotten through all of your sick phase by the time I had tested positive, pretty much. You were on your way out.
my throat and my cough were gone when you were positive. I've still got the sniffly nose and block nose now.
Yeah.
Especially when I talk. That's when it gets all sniffly. Okay, I'll move that if you want to get up there. Okay.
And so this whole time I've been watching you being like, oh mama, this is what I've got coming.
Yeah.
And it kind of has, it kind of hasn't. There's been some similarities, but, you know, it works through people in different ways.
The sore throat was mine. That second day I woke up and it was like I'd swallowed a razor blade and drank lemon. It was just, the worst throat pain I've had in a it went away across the day as I started taking medicine. But I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh shit, this is the fucking worst.
This is what people have been talking about. I haven't really had that, which is, I mean, I've had a sore throat and like, like uncomfortable, like you can just feel your throat constantly. You can just feel like you've got a lump in your throat. That's what I've had. And not last night. Last night, mercifully, I slept pretty well. But the night before that, I can't sleep when I have a blocked nose. Like I'm like a man when I get a cold. I'm just so complaining all the time. I never, because prior to COVID, back when we were circulating normally, I would probably get maybe a cold a year, if that. Like, you know, that's my immune system privilege.
How long
and I
have we been
accept
together?
it. 3 years?
We've been together 3 years. We've been together 4 years, haven't we?
3.
Feels like 5 minutes.
Underwater.
I've seen you do that sitting up because you can't breathe through your nose.
Yeah, so
you
I'll
have an
sit up
issue.
in bed to sleep. I'll sit straight up because
Yeah.
I cannot stand being on my side and feeling all the snot and stuff moving around. Like it's just a nightmare for me. So I'd rather just, you know, pile up the pillows and sit at a 90-degree angle and try and sleep like that. But it looks freaky if you see it.
Yeah. So apart from COVID, I've only ever seen you do that once in 3/4 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how long.
Yeah, so it's been... So I think relatively speaking, I haven't copped it that bad, but because I never get sick and I just am not very good at handling it, it's felt like it's been awful.
Not very good at handling it. When I was in this room, 2 days in this room, third day, I was like half the day and then I got to come out when you got sick and I was
You
like,
got
yes.
to. Woo!
So it was this room and the bathroom next door and then I had like Doritos and some rolls, just like pantry food to keep me going, but also it was in the first 2 days I wasn't hungry at all. So we didn't cook anything or make anything. I was
Still
just
feeling like that.
I was just eating shit that was coming through. And I think I ordered Uber Eats at one point to get some vegetables.
Yeah.
Got Japanese, yeah.
It's a searing indictment on our lives. We ordered Uber Eats to get some vegetables.
And I was just I was miserable. In this room, I was super, super, super miserable.
Yeah. Can I just say,
It was not Beck's
It was
idea.
not my choice.
That's
I
not-
wanted you to come out and like we were trying to figure this out. It was really hard because it was a really weird situation to be in. Because on the one hand, so you tested positive, I was still testing negative, but it seemed like it was inevitable. It really did. But we wanted to play it safe.
Oh, that's right. That's what we're talking about. We really didn't want to get COVID because we
Yeah.
didn't know what the long-term symptoms are, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. Yeah, so I did not want Beck
So some
to get it.
people are like, might as well. Everybody's getting it. Might as well let it rip.
Which
you know?
fucking-
We don't want to get political, but I just, we didn't want to play that fast and loose with our health. And
I went on a big Instagram
we play
rant
fast
about
and
it.
loose with our health, with everything else, our diet and, all sorts of things, but not with this.
No. And then, I got worried about that. Bless him, Ben. He never said anything. But I was when I was telling Ben that I'm like, I'm locked in here. I was waiting for him to go cuck. And I thought about that. I was worried about people thinking you were like, get away
Yeah,
from me.
I don't want
But
people to think that I
you
did
at the
that
start
too.
were like, come on, just let's do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, I'll go in this room. Don't want you to get sick. And then by like day 2, I think you started getting more on board and you're like, you know what, this is a good idea.
Yeah, as
You
the
know.
days were going on and I was testing negative, I was like, okay, there is a chance I could scrape out of here alive, maybe that's worth pursuing. But it was hard. I mean, it was only 2 days away from each other and we were like, we kept being like, can we go hang out outside so that we can be sort of near each other? Because, it's obviously much harder to spread it outside.
Yeah,
And we were
yeah.
like,
Backyard.
like,
With masks,
miss you.
I sat facing away from Beck at like a 5-meter distance.
Yeah.
It was just a talk and chat and hang out.
it's not that we're codependent. We just really, really like each other's company. And
Yeah.
we're so, our relationship started basically a few months before lockdown. This is all we've known. And this, I like the way that we are. I like that we basically live on top of each other and, we're each other's little buddy, arm in arm. And it was only 2 days away from each other and it was fucking torture. It really was. And honestly, by the time that I tested positive, it was bittersweet because it's like, oh, well, now this is what my week looks like. But also, I get Matt back.
I was like,
You were just happy.
I feel the same way about everything you just said. But I was also just like a mental patient in this room, just staring at all the walls and stuff. But there was that point, remember when you wrote me that note where you were like, hey, we're in lockdown, but we're still, together in spirit, like something
Yeah.
like that. And then I just burst into tears.
I wasn't going to tell them that, but if you want to. It was beautiful. It was just so,
I was sick as well. I was sick. I was very sick. And that's why I don't cry.
It's okay to
I
cry.
don't. Hey, what? No, yeah, that was a rough day.
day and a half, 2 days, whatever it was. Also, it was interesting because I wonder if maybe I was positive before that because I finally on like day 3 or whatever of you being sick, I took the advice of our friend who took some advice from healthcare friends or whatever and was like, with the rat test, even if it's just a nasal swab, you should swab your throat as well, which I was a bit skeptical about, but
Me too.
I did like 3, just my nose, negative. The very first time that I swabbed my throat, like, you know how the liquid fills up on the rat? Like, it hadn't even gotten all the way. It hit the line and it went red, bright red immediately. I'm like, oh, maybe I've been ill for a while and I just wasn't swabbing correctly or whatever. But yeah, that was, there was no doubting that it was positive.
And then you did another one after that.
I did 3
Yeah.
just to double check. I was like, all right, I'll swab just my throat, I'll swab just my nose, and I'll swab both of them. And the one with just my nose was the only one that was negative. So that's BS. So guys, I'm not a doctor, but if you're out there and you're doing a rat, don't trust the ones that are just your nose. 'cause
Although
they lied to me.
I did the spit ones for 3 days. Remember, trying to get it, and then the second I did just a nose one, I got it. So I think try both.
Try both. Yeah, try everything. Don't just assume because you've done your nose and it's negative that you're all clear, because I did that and it was not correct.
Because then you could show up to rehearsals and get everybody sick because you tested negative. And,
For example,
yeah. So that was COVID, and that was
we're still going.
we're still going. You're still pretty
I'm sort
throaty
of.
coffee.
I think I'm through the worst of it. Fingers crossed. Touch wood. I know some people sometimes talk about how they have a period of feeling good and then they go down again. But I think we're triple vaxxed, so I think we should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's if we're a bit low energy today, it's because we're fighting the COVID.
So Ben and Aiden aren't here. Obviously, we will record episode 200 next week. Big 200.
I think it'll be so much sweeter when we're all back together,
That's
because
what I
it's been
thought.
like because we had to put off last week's podcast too because you were starting to feel bad. but
That's
you hadn't
right. I
tested
forgot
yet.
about that. I messaged. I was so lucky. That was the day I woke up and I had because it was itchy throat, and then I woke up in the morning and I had sniffles as well, sniffles, throat, and that was it. And
But enough to be like, this could be anything. Like
Yeah,
we
yeah.
weren't- yeah.
And I said to the boys, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then Aiden was like, I'm going to Queensland this weekend. I don't want to get sick.
Smart.
And I remember Ben, I was kind of pissy at Ben because he was like, oh, you know, I've got some time off at the end of the month and I don't want to be sick for that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought he was being lazy. I thought he just didn't want to drive out because my past experience has been, he's a bit more casual about it. He's like, whatever, you know, when we had that band rehearsal and everyone was feeling a bit unwell, it was like, whatever. So I assumed he was being lazy. Really,
Throw him under the bus.
really fucking good call on Ben's. Yeah.
Really good.
Because I had
very
COVID.
lucky.
I had
all of
proper-
our parts. Thank God we didn't decide to go ahead with that.
Yeah. I wouldn't-
Guys, if you're feeling sick,
Oh,
for
for
God's sake, just stay
just
home.
don't be a fucking idiot.
I know we're all fucking tired of COVID and stuff, but like, look out for your friends. Look out for your friends and their grandparents and stuff. Like, they can still take it home and get somebody sick. You know, you don't want that on your conscience.
The girl that got us sick, I have been.
Probably got it sick.
She got us sick. I have been ruminating and.
All right, let's not go too hard.
No, I'm just saying, I've now I'm over it. I haven't even expressed that to you. I'm over it, and I'm not going to say anything to her, like I said I would.
I know, but is she going to hear this, for example?
I don't know. Well, I mean, this is I'm saying this the same way I tell any story, and someone comes and says, "Hey, you talked about me." I said, "I'm just airing this out." In those first couple of days, I was full of rage, mainly because I was stuck in this room.
Yeah,
and
it's got to go somewhere.
And I felt like it was irresponsible to show up to a thing sick.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing I'll say right now. I thought it was irresponsible, and I wouldn't have done it myself. As the days have gone on, and everything, I've gone, you know what? She made a mistake.
We don't know anybody's situation. We don't know,
You know.
all the thoughts that this person went through, and maybe they thought they were doing the right thing. You don't know. You
Exactly.
don't know anybody's situation.
So
It's
but
unfortunate.
if you are sick and you go out and you get other people sick, you're going to risk people being really fucking mad at you.
That's
And you know, and you don't know what situation you're then going to put them in where I'm fucking reading a piece of paper and crying like a baby, you know? And you don't want to, but yeah, just be careful, everybody.
Yeah, just
Because
be
it's
careful.
fucking shit.
Yeah.
And by this point, everybody listening is like, I had COVID 2 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
I know.
of course.
I'm sure. Yeah, we are very late to the game for sure. And we did notice that. There was like, it's
Remember
so
that day
petty.
when I got it and I
We're
was
both
pissy?
like, where's all the sympathy? Like, where's all the fucking get well soon messages and
I'm
stuff?
like, not a single person
And
has
it's-
said
yeah.
get well or like good luck.
It's because we're so late. Everybody's done it. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, been there, done that. It's just a cold, fuck you. Whereas if you'd gotten it like even 6 months ago or something, I think, you know, people would be like, do you need a hamper? I'll put it on your doorstep. Do you need anything? I'll rub your feet through the window. You know, like people were like, I don't know. It's possibly a bit petty and jaded to say.
But there are people. Like
No,
your
plenty of
mum-
people.
Your mum
Yeah.
dropped us things.
You didn't get shit, but as soon as I tested positive, it was like,
That's
oh my
true.
God, Becky, are you okay?
Ben messaged this morning and asked if we needed anything.
Yes, thank you, Ben.
And
I've had a number of people ask
I think
if
the
I need
twins,
anything.
the twins
The
as
twins,
well, have been
bless
super
you.
nice.
Yeah.
They kept me sane in those first 2 days because there was no one to talk to and everything, and they were just responsive and they responded to.
I'm around.
You know what I mean? Like there were just people who I could talk
Yeah.
to on Messenger. They
No,
were,
I'm grateful.
They
I
were
really
just
am.
there, and
Yeah.
yeah, everyone. It's been rad.
Yeah, thank you to everybody who has reached out and checked if we're okay.
That being said, I've been enjoying the last couple of days. After I got out of this room, I'm just on I'm a staycation
Yeah.
with a bit of a sniffle. You know,
Exactly.
all I got to do is make you dinner and give you a blanket every now and again. And
Yeah, the nice thing is you're sort of your own boss in a way.
Mm.
You are and you aren't, but you do have a bit more control. Like I still have to show. I work from home, so I'm very lucky, but I still have to show up to my shifts, even though I fucking feel like shit and I'm shivering through them and everything. But you've been able to take a bit of time off, which is good.
I did. I took the end of last week off. Didn't do streams. Thank you to everybody, the fans, anyone who's listening right now who gave me some slack last week because I missed like 4 streams. But then yesterday I filmed my first video jumping back in for this week and I was fucking knackered.
Yeah.
Usually on a Monday I'll film 4 videos in a row and I filmed one and I was like, I'm going to pass out.
I don't know how you do that on a normal day. Like that's so much.
It's easier once you get going. Like once I've done one video, I could do 100.
You are a unique beast. Like the way that you can turn it on and keep it on. Like I mean, obviously we're very different people and I don't do your job, but I imagine having to do one video and to like be hugely on the way that you are in your videos, and then to do that 4 times in a row, like
It's-
you astound me. You really do.
Oh, thank you. It's easy to do it 4 times in a row than to do one and then the next day one and then the next day
get
one.
back into the
Because I got to get that
headspace.
thing. I got a stream tonight and I'm a bit not nervous, but I'm interested. I'm going to see how that is because the other streams are a bit super low energy, but I'm going to turn it on tonight and do a proper stream.
Here's my question: how do you just keep thinking of shit to say?
I don't know.
Like at some point, I just feel like you would run out of things to say. Especially some games you play don't give you a lot of material to work with, and that's the thing that like this is the gas up Matt hour now.
Thank you. I like it.
It's amazing. Like we need to be talking about this. Can we normalize talking about how great Matt is? Like, what was that game you played a few weeks ago? And I remember watching it with you and commenting. I'm like, there is fucking nothing to talk about, and you are managing to keep this going. It was like, it wasn't cooking. It was like cleaning or some manual task game that you were playing.
A few weeks ago.
Yeah. Maybe it was longer ago than that, but it was one of the more recent videos that you forced me to
Oh,
watch.
a video,
Yeah.
not a stream. Oh, power wash where I spray
Yeah,
things down?
probably power washing. I was like, how have you managed to make a 15 odd, however long it was, video amusing and entertaining, and you're just standing there pretending to power wash?
I was power washing.
You're a genius.
Thank you. Well, this has been just delightful.
But you gave me COVID, so fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, technically, I passed it on from someone else. It was a package for you.
Yeah, that's everybody's story. Everybody gets it from somewhere else.
I tried my best.
No, you did.
Shall I take a peek at these notes?
Yeah, go on.
This was for like 201, which we were going to film prematurely. Oh, you know what?
Oh, can I just talk about one more thing in the middle of I don't really want to talk about COVID this entire
Yeah.
podcast, but it has taught me this thing you are apparently not able to do, which has been making me laugh for the past week. is you've been trying to. I'll explain it as I understand it, and then you can tell me what
I
you
can
think
make
is
the
happening.
sound because there's some there right now. I can make the sound.
So you're trying to bring up phlegm, right? You're trying to bring it to the front of your mouth, but you don't seem to know how to do it. You're
It's
like,
not
Beck, how do people do this? And you're like,
It's the phlegm that's in sort of your nasal, like at the back of
Yeah.
your nasal passage. And I'm going to make that sound now, everybody. So be warned. This thing. Do that thing.
So it's my understanding, it was my understanding before we entered into this conversation that pretty much every human being in the world, as far as I knew, knows how to do that. Like you bring the phlegm up and then you bring it to your mouth and you can spit it out. This is gross, but like, I'm sure the people at home know what I mean.
Yeah.
But you, for some reason, struggle with it or you don't know how to do it.
I can do that thing and it goes to a part of my, like the back of my throat.
Yeah,
But
and then you can't bring it.
I can't bring it forward out my mouth.
Yeah.
It just sits there. It's like it moves from where I can't access it to a place that it's a different passage of my nose. And then I think everybody else moves it forward and can spit it out. But it's stuck
Yeah.
there. So all I can do is swallow it.
It's
back down.
weird. It's like trying to explain something that you never ever thought you'd need to explain. It's
You know
like-
what? The yesterday when I got it, you told me how to do it.
Yeah, I was trying to walk you through it.
Tried to do it today, and I can't remember the
It's like
the suction thing that you
put
taught
your
me.
Tongue at the roof of your mouth, and then you go. It's like a weird. I don't know. It's hard to explain because
Yeah,
it's just.
I can't do it.
It's just innate. You just.
Can't fucking.
Nobody
Do
ever taught me to do it. You just do it. I don't know. But that was very funny because I'm hearing you from across the house, and I can hear you going. Making the funniest fucking sounds. Like,
Trying to-
Matt, are you okay?
it. I'm just trying to work it out. I'm trying to teach myself how to do it.
I hope you learn. I really do.
Yeah, I was getting it a little bit. Yeah, I didn't say this. Sorry, we won't talk about COVID the whole time. But the first night when I was in here, I thought I could sleep on that couch that Beck's sitting on right now.
Oh, it's no way.
No,
And I demanded. I was like, no, come in at the very least. If you're not going to sleep in
That's
bed
true.
with me, come and sleep on the nice couch in the lounge room.
That's when I thought people were worried that you'd be like, get the fuck away from me. Because like, no. I was saying I'm not putting COVID in because you're going to be in that area a lot. I don't want to rub COVID all over the couch and shit like that. So I said, I'll work it out. I'll sleep in here. And that thing is like, honestly, if I have my head resting on where Beck's arm is there, my knees hang over the other side of the
it's
couch.
really just meant to be like a waiting room couch. It's
Yeah.
not meant to have an entire person's
But sometimes-
length on it.
Sometimes if I'm like knackered, I'll have like a tiny like 10-minute kip on there in the middle of the day.
It's good. It discourages you from sleeping very long.
Yeah. That's what I remember saying, and I wish I thought about that before I decided to sleep on it, but I didn't. That first night I slept on the floor, and under this carpet, there's a bunch of cables that run headphone over there, mic over there, headphone over there, mic over there. It goes all under a rug. And I was just
can't believe you did that.
laying on those cables. It was a bad night's
Poor
sleep.
thing.
So then the next day I got the I bought a foam mattress, and I'll tell you what, not bad, not a bad find. I'm glad I got COVID because now people can stay over on my COVID-filled foam mattress.
Yeah, we should set that out in the sun for a minute.
So I was just trying to think of like what was the worst part of that 2 days, and I think that first night's sleep I was like, this is shit. I also did not do any like health recovery during that sleeping period. It's like you need to sleep to recover, and there is a
it was not restful.
Mic cable in my asshole. All right. Let me take a look at these notes. The first one I saw was me sending a nude to Bruce of you.
We still haven't talked about that. I thought
There's
it would be
so many good things on this page. Like I was getting ready for like 201. There's a bunch of good shit I want to talk about.
I always imagined you talking about the nude in front of the boys because you love to sexually humiliate me in front of everybody.
Sexually humiliate.
I still haven't forgiven you for the vibrator incident.
It's never my intention to humiliate you.
I know. That's why I don't get really mad about it, because I'm like, you're just being silly.
I don't think it's humiliating to buy a vibrator.
I don't either.
So exactly. So that's why I think it's a funny story to be like, you came home with a bass guitar and a vibrator, and it's like, rock on, Beck.
It is a funny story.
Matt and Beck are doing it every day, hard sex. You know what I
think
mean?
if you went back and listened to it, you'd be able to hear what my point was, because you were like, can I say? And I was like, you can say where I went. And then you were like, anyway, Beck bought a vibrator. I'm like, no, you can say I went to a sex shop and people will probably figure out what it was.
Imagine if the punchline of the story was Beck came home with a bag from Sexyland and a bass guitar. It's like, what's in the bag?
I'm glad that the punchline's more important than my feelings.
Thank you. Yes. I'm glad you understand. See, this is what I'm talking about. Content. Got to keep making stuff. It's a gift.
No, I'm down. I just, I would like to have a bit of control over the sexual humiliation.
Don't say sexual humiliation.
Please, the sexual humiliation.
It's funny. After that podcast, you did actually.
No, I did. Genuinely.
You were like, hey,
listener, I will tell you, I got mad at him.
You weren't mad about that.
All it was
this was okay, but next time
I gave you
worse.
I gave you the boundary, and then you went over it. And I was like, no, don't do that. But this is a process. We're figuring it out.
Got to work
as
out.
we go.
So how much of Beck's vagina can I talk about?
I'm a trampoline, boing whip.
You were a trampoline last night.
No, I wasn't, because I have COVID. You know what? I'm going to talk about this. Even though we both have COVID, you're still horny.
I don't know what's going on at the moment.
And I am very much not, because I, like a fucking normal person, just want to be sick and be left alone.
But make note that I'm not always. Something's going on with my libido at the moment. I'm like a fucking animal.
Sorry to our parents who listen to this.
I'm not. Look what I get to have sex with. No, but like at the moment, yeah, something's going on. And I'm last night I wasn't. This morning was a problem.
No, this morning is what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's why I was annoyed. I'm like, bro, I am sick. I am sick with the sickness, the famous one everybody keeps talking about. Get off me. Can I just have my COVID?
No,
apparently not.
But
I'm amazed. I'm honestly amazed that you could even, I can't even think about it, anything. My brain fog is so, have you heard me for the past few days trying to string a sentence together? I can't. It could just be because I'm high all the time.
The brain fog was intense. That's the thing I forgot to talk about. And the brain fog, when I was trying to edit a video on whatever day. So I was still working. Remember, keep in mind, even when I was sick, I was still working here. But I was trying to edit a video, and I remember clicking off to look up to get a picture or something to throw into the video, and immediately forgot what I was doing. It was just like that. You can't. I'm living from moment to moment. I can't remember what I was doing the moment before.
It's hard to tell because I have brain fog constantly. I have ADHD. So not self-diagnosed anymore.
No.
Thanks, Doc. I can properly say that. I've got my certificate.
She's a Batman villain. What's the Batman's villain name, Beck?
The Ritaliner.
The Ritaliner.
So brain fog is like my bloody bread and cheese.
Bread and butter.
What do they say? Bread and cheese.
Bread and butter.
Bread and butter. Yeah. So it's like,
you mix bread and butter.
Is this
and
normal?
and cheese.
Yeah, I did. Is this normal brain fog, or is this
COVID
brain fog? Anyway, what were we talking about? There it is.
I can confirm it's COVID brain fog. I could see the different brain fogs. Yeah.
Aw, that's so nice.
Yeah.
You know what kind of stupid I'm being.
And I tell you what, I wanted to brain fog you last night. This morning. Sorry. I had to take that pun. So anyways.
No, but I'm impressed that you're still able to multitask and you're still able to be a horny man even though you're sick. Good for you.
Thanks.
Not so good for me. But yes, the nude.
The nude. So Beck and me were, because we couldn't see each other. No,
it was even before that, my love. This was weeks ago.
So sorry.
It wasn't those ones.
I was about to tell a different story. Can I tell a story?
Maybe. We might edit it out.
As it was the point I was in this room and Beck was in that room. We were separated. And like,
at some point you're just bragging.
like teenagers, we were just like sending nudes back and forth. Doesn't matter.
It felt so alive.
It did. I felt like I was a teenager again.
That was probably the one fun thing that came out of it,
Yeah.
was being like, no, we can't be near each other, so let's just do some dirty texting,
Yeah.
which we've never really done. That's the thing about being married, as we basically are, is that you just don't really think about, there's not really opportunities to do that because you're always in each other's face. But that little bit of breathing space was like,
Do it sometimes.
what are you wearing?
Like when I go to Shep and stuff like that.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So another point when you just said we never do this, but Becky sent me some nudes.
it was one. And it wasn't even meant to be a nude.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I don't know how much of my weird internal process I want to give away, but basically I will. It's fine.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me one night, you'd gone to bed. It wasn't sexy or anything. I was just like, I haven't seen my own butt in a while. Like you can't see your own butt. It's like the back of your hair. That's why the hairdresser has to give you a second mirror. You just don't know what your butt looks like. And, I get reviews from you all the time, and so I assume I'm doing pretty well. But just out of the blue, I was like, I'm going to take a photo of my butt and just see what the situation is. Just going to see. And I put the phone up and I did the 10-second timer and I scuttled away and pulled my pants down. It's a very funny image. It's not sexy at all.
It is
I was
very
like,
sexy.
I was like, I just want...
picture.
Well, yeah, so I just wanted to see. And then I looked at the picture and I was like,
God damn.
nice, I'm making it work. And I was like, no, just flick that to Matt and just, you might like that. It really wasn't meant to be like, hey, sexy. It was just like, here's a funny thing. Here's a funny, weird Beck thing that I did. I took a photo of my butt for scientific reasons, but I thought you might like them for extracurricular reasons.
Yeah. So then I think
somebody please tell me, can we get some comments? Does anybody else do that? Like body checking photos? Like maybe it's a weird neurosis thing. I think people do that.
I think it's a girl thing. I don't know if a lot of men do body checks. But you're not the first person I've ever heard of just taking pictures of themselves just to feel sexy, to see themselves. No, it's not to feel sexy.
It's just to know what's going on. It's just an angle I never ever see. It was just educational.
Some people have different reasons.
But it ended up being like...
It was fucking rad.
I got a nice bun.
So I get the photo. I think this is like the following day.
Yeah, it was.
The following
next day,
we're taking pictures of the dog, one moment to another.
That's all my camera roll is now, is just my ass, dog, my ass. That's all it is.
Mine too. So I took a bunch of photos on my phone. And here's where things got weird, because I sent a picture of the dog to a group chat we have with Bruce.
Like the house chat.
The house chat. I sent it to Bruce. And then took a bunch more. And then Beck was like, oh, can you send me those photos of the dog?
Of the dog, yeah.
And so immediately I opened up my camera roll. And because I saw the picture of the dog, my brain got kind of mixed up. I was like, I've sent this to Beck. Now I'll send the rest to Beck. Not realizing I was in the group chat. I wasn't talking to you. I was in the group chat. Which is fine, except at the end of this, I saw a picture, and usually I hide my camera roll. Like I have a little hidden way to make sure that no one going through my phone can see nudes of you. But
I should do that.
I hadn't done it with this one yet. So it was sitting there, and I was like, oh, this will be funny. I'll send all the pictures of the dog and then that picture of Beck's butt. So when she's swiping through, she's like, dog. Oh, my butt. Oh. And I just thought it'd be a funny goof.
Matt, you cad.
And I sent it, and I was like, boom, boom, threw it away. And then it was like 10 seconds later.
Did I do it in person or did I message you?
You were sitting right there where you're sitting right now, and I was standing up here in front of you, and the dog was laying down on the couch next to you. And I can't remember what the exact quote was, but it was panic, and it was yelling, and it was...
It was yelling. I'm like, Matt, what the fuck? Delete it right now, you idiot.
You were like, go delete the fucking phone. I was like, what? Thankfully,
Bruce
never checks his phone. So we're able to like delete it for everyone, which you can do on Facebook.
Yeah, like Matt unsent a message or something. And then I was very quickly like, haha, sorry, Bruce, it was accidentally a nude.
Yeah. And he thought it was a nude of me.
Yeah.
He just assumed it was me. But yeah, that
really got
very
the heart
close.
pumping. And then we had to have a serious talk about like, listen, when I send you these nudes, I'm trusting you to not be a fucking idiot. And immediately the next day, what did you do?
Fucking idiot.
Yeah, fucking
But
idiot.
keep in mind, you've sent me many nudes. And eventually there's going to,
This is the only one I know about where you've done this because I was in the group chat. How many group chats am I not in that have seen my
I think
butt?
I would find out. Someone would just go, oh, cool, and not say anything. It's like a work site when you have like how many days since an accident.
Yeah.
It's bound to happen
Since our last
eventually.
nonsense.
But now that this accident has happened, it'll never happen again.
I
because
hope so.
Now I'm aware.
I wouldn't have. On the one hand, it's like I could see I saw the process. I know you obviously didn't mean it, and I could tell that, you thought you'd send it to me or whatever. But I thought, I have to get really mad at you so that you remember it sticks in your brain not to do this again. Because if I just brush it off and be like, I get it, sweetie, it's fine, we all make mistakes, then you'd do it again because you'd be like, no consequences. But because I was like full goblin mode.
I think it was a very gentle.
I think you understood how upset I was.
Yeah. It was also a very I don't think I could think of a better person to have accidentally sent the nude to
Bruce,
than Bruce. Because not
Big gay
only
man.
is even if Bruce saw it, he would be like, haha, but also he would never see it because he never checks his phone.
Yeah, and it wasn't a bad nude.
No,
It was
no.
just my butt. It wasn't like wasn't anything worse than that. If it had been a really full-on one, I probably might have had an even bigger reaction.
Yeah.
And might have, cut off your supply.
Whew. That'd have been hard.
No, it wouldn't have been.
Nah. So that was something that we were gonna talk about with the boys, but
I'm kind of glad we didn't.
no, it's a better one. It's a better one for just you and me. Me and Beck are actually, it's sort of been on the back burner, but we I've two on my whiteboard. There's 3 projects I'm working on, and it's all been a bit crazy right now, so all of them have gone on the back burner. But the one with Aiden is first person, which is a show, and then I've got a plan to do a podcast with Ben. But then you and I have a plan to do a podcast, and just between you, me, and the IV, that's the one I'm really excited about.
Yeah.
And doing this one now, I'm like, oh yeah, because the idea of it is we want to like the general.
Are we pitching it?
We'll pitch it to everybody and see if anybody's interested.
And if not, we won't do it.
Sorry, again, the brain fog. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into that, just remember that, see if you can keep that in your brain, was the fact that we're switching podcast hosts. So episode 199 was having a bit of trouble with distribution. I know there were a lot of people who were like, I can't listen to it, I can't. By now it's available. But I want to apologize for that happening. That happening. I mean, this podcast doesn't come out for another 5 days, but and it's already available. But there was a couple of days there where it was a bit shit. So we're switching podcast provider from Podbean back to Anchor, which was the one we started with many, many years ago. Because Anchor has grown in a certain way where the cost benefit sort of thing is better to go back to them. But that's been a bit of an annoying process because you start a podcast on a host. You shut that down, you set up a redistribution thing that sends all those podcasts to the new host provider. But now I'm doing that and sending those back. It's a bit of a mess, but it's sorted out now. We're with Anchor, and what I can do with Anchor as well is Spotify video podcasts. Have Spotify.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, so when you were listening on Spotify, it comes up in that little window. You can watch the video
Oh.
podcast. And we can also ask questions. Like polls will come up on your phone when you're listening on Spotify. So I can be like, hey, do you send pictures? Do you take pictures of your butt sometimes, sort of thing? So that's interesting. Things we can do like that.
I've never seen that before.
Anchor's come a long way. I think, Joe Rogan does that. I think his podcast is video on Spotify. That's the only one I can think of as an example.
The thing about podcasts, though, I mean, if you're listening audio only, I think the poll is a cool idea, but most people listening to podcasts probably don't have their hands free because they're either driving or they're at the gym or they're, all sorts of things.
It's just that it's an option.
Yeah.
It's like you can look down at it if you want to, or you can keep listening as you would. Yeah. There's something happening on your phone. It's there if you want it. It's not if you don't want it.
We'd make it funny, though. It'd be good.
So, yeah, that was apologies for that. Anyways.
Boring. Let's talk more about nudes.
So Beck and I want to do a podcast where we talk about what it was like growing up with the internet.
Yeah, sort of being like the first.
Having a topic was the main point. I was like, if I want to do I want to start another podcast Because podcast is actually quite easy to put together.
But
and
the thing
it's more
about this
content.
one is it's sort of not about anything. It's
Yeah,
kind of
we
the
just-
Seinfeld of podcasts. It's just
like,
about whatever.
We just talk, which I'm happy to do, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to do that again. Because
Yeah.
we've already got one of these.
Yeah.
And the one I've got with Ben as well has an idea, has a theme, has a topic. And the one with you has a theme, which is, born online. Something like that.
That's the name, probably.
Probably the name, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so the idea is, obviously we were not the first. I mean, I was born in 95.
Mm-hmm.
Can I say when you were born?
94.
94. So we were not the very first people to experience the internet. Obviously there were people before us, but what we were the first children to have to sort of grow up on the internet. And as for me, I'm not sure about you, but for me, God bless my dad, but his idea of parenting my brother and I was basically setting us up in front of the internet.
Yeah.
And just letting us go, because my dad was an IT guy, so he was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit in terms of technology in the home. We were just a little bit ahead of that, which back then seemed fucking cool, because like, oh, I got a Hotmail before all my friends and all that kind of stuff. But looking back now, I'm like, what did that do to me?
Yeah.
Because the internet was kind of my parent in some ways, growing up when, I just kind of wonder what it's done to my brain and what it's done to your brain. And
we talk about this, like this is something we talk about all the time off the podcast.
yeah, and especially now, like obviously this is something that's gotten worse and worse as generations have gone on. And you look at kids these days, like I don't want Born Online to become a kids these days sort of. I don't want it to become that, but I want it to sort of be like, as we're now adults, we're now sort of getting towards staring down the barrel of 30. We've both done a little bit of soul searching in our lives and thinking about why are we the way that we are, what's made us the way that we are, how does the internet, come into that, and then what can we learn for future generations, and how is it going to be even worse for them, because they're way more online than even we were back then.
I never thought about it as like a kids, like those kids.
No, I just want to make sure that nobody thinks that's what we're trying to do.
I think it's more like
it's an exploration.
We're talking about like kids our days. Like we're just, and I think it'd be interesting for even kids now to listen and hear where we were, because their experiences might be like
totally different. The internet is totally different now.
I saw people die on the internet before my 10th birthday. You know what I mean? Like, are kids doing that now? And we've talked about this.
We've got questions too. If we've got young listeners who are more in that age bracket, I've got questions I want to ask them.
Yeah.
What is their experience of the internet like now?
And like,
how does it compare to ours?
Even people like 5 years older than us are like, no, I didn't, watch blah, blah. But
we were sort of right on the precipice of like, I think you and I still had outdoor playtime, like riding our bikes in the street with kids and court, stuff. Yeah. We had enough of that to remember what that felt like. We're probably the last generation to really have that. Everybody had that.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, not only some kids with really conscientious parents who are like, get outside, get off your screen, get out there, not to judge or anything. Some parents don't have the time to do that, whatever. But yeah, it's like you don't really see kids playing outside as much anymore. Not as widespread as they used to. We've got some kids across the street who are always outside, and I love that. But I love it so much because it's unusual. Like I notice it, whereas 15, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have noticed it. It was like just kids are everywhere running around across the road and everything. But now it's like those kids across the street are always outside, and that's weird.
Yeah, I used to have we did in our town, we got together, it was like 20 or 25 kids, and we did a big game of hide and seek across the entire town.
That's so
so we
cool.
all got on our bikes, one person was it, and it was hide and seek across the entirety of Marupna. We
good.
set out bounds, and it was one person, and it took them the entire day to get everybody. But when they got somebody, they partnered up, and we had walkie-talkies and stuff like that, so we could go like, I'm going to the school, I'm going here. I remember that very fondly. But I also remember watching 4 Chinese men pushing a rig, and then the rig touches some electric thing, and then all 4 of those Chinese men melted to the poles and died in front of my eyes. Like there's just these memories that we have, and I think I remember our idea being something like each week is a different topic.
Maybe, yeah.
Because like each episode's a different topic, and then from there we sort of work out what we want to do.
I definitely want to do an episode on porn.
That was the one that we pitched, where I was like, we could talk about porn for 3 hours. The impact that porn's had,
and we are uniquely angled because we are together and, you know, our sex life is together. And as much as I don't want to go too deep into the well of that, but we can definitely talk about the way we relate to each other sexually and whether or not that's inspired or influenced by having, you know, I was seeing all sorts of things I shouldn't have been seeing way too young, which still happens today, obviously, and is probably worse today.
I've joked about it all the time, but yeah, I had like from like ages 15 to 16 to 17, I had like a hardcore porn addiction.
Yeah.
Where it was like every night for hours and hours, I was just watching porn, and I wonder like, what does that do? And as someone who's like, who quit porn, but I can, you know,
which I'm so happy about.
I can pop back in every now and again.
Yeah,
but
I'm very glad that it didn't break your brain because I think it's breaking a lot of people's brains.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And that was originally the reason why I sort of quit it, because I was like, oh, I don't find my girlfriend at the time attractive, or I can't even get her.
It's impossible to live up to.
I was like 18 years old, and I was like, I can't get a hard on when I want to get a hard on, sort of thing. So I think like all these things, like I remember that porn one. We can talk about Reddit. We can talk about like,
and then I want to talk about slightly sillier things like Habbo Hotel and RuneScape and like all the very period specific games and websites and forums that we were on. And I think probably I was a bit more online than you were, in the sense that like I was across heaps of different websites, like really, really in there in communities and stuff. Just like being 14, surrounded by these older men on a forum, and like, I don't know, it's
the whole podcast is really your vehicle, and I'm just sort of there as color commentary.
Well, anyway, we're very much on the drawing board, as you can hear. These are not fully fleshed out ideas yet, but I do think, you know, we're not psychologists, we're not anybody except people who are talking about our lived experiences. And
it might just be a one season thing. We might just do 20 episodes and then see if people like it, see how people feel, and then, you know, go on from there. Like people do that. People try podcasts, and I'm happy to try.
I don't mind. I'm just happy to sit in the room and talk to my friend.
My little buddy.
My buddy.
Yeah. So again, if that sounds of interest, because we haven't had a chance to actually break it down and talk about the idea. We've pitched it before, I think.
I'd love to have a talkback element, like have a, you know, put a call out there like, hey, anybody in our sort of age bracket, did you spend any time on RuneScape, on Habbo? Did you spend time on these websites? Were they formative for you? Did they really, you know, what did they do to you? How did you have fun, or did you find that it was, you know? We
could pitch it out like 2 weeks before, be like, hey, here's the topic, any interesting commentary, anything you say, and then we'll just sift through it, and, you know, that'd be lots of fun. And it's, again, it'll be something like this where it's just, I don't even have to edit it. It's just two screens and we just talk.
We'll see what happens.
Which is super easy to get. Anyways, that's what are we talking about then?
I don't know. That's coming soon. You were talking about Anchor, and I don't know. I think you just looked at the whiteboard.
Yeah. So that's hey, if you like the vibe of this podcast, let us know, and we'll.
Yeah, and to be honest, I don't have a lot of podcast experience. I'm sort of learning as I go. Like, you've been kind enough to bring me onto your podcast after I kicked and screamed about it. No, but no, like, no. But
you were just
obviously this started as just you and you guys, and I've come on and I'm sort of trying to figure out where my energy fits with, you know, a room full of dudes that are very loud and boisterous and very good at improv and all that kind of stuff. And I'm a slightly different energy, not better or worse, just different. And, you know, I think it'll be interesting. This Born Online thing I'm really excited, if for no other reason than I can learn how to podcast, because it is an art. It's an art form. I've definitely learned that from just even sitting in the chair to fill in for somebody. It's like, this is hard work.
I've said this I've said this a few times, but I'm ready to go when you are. Yeah. This one's your vehicle. You fill it up. Get everybody pumped up, everybody. Send in some messages. Get back keen to do it.
I want to do it. I'm keen to do it.
I don't have the time to do like the organization things, but I definitely have the time to release, edit, and talk. Yeah. Just can't be like I know that you'll, being the person that you are, you'll become with like things and research and stuff like that.
Clipboard.
Yeah. Let's finish off with one. I don't want to use all this stuff. I'll tell you what we did do. This little doggy here. We took her for a walk in the middle of the night.
Have we not talked about that?
No. We took her for a walk in the middle of the night. This isn't a great story, but wait for the punchline.
It's probably about 11 o'clock.
It was 11 o'clock. We took her, around the block, and she has a halty, which is like, it looks like a muzzle, but it just goes around the nose. She could open her mouth and do everything she could, but it just means when she pulls, it like turns her neck a little bit so she doesn't.
Because she's so fat and heavy that if we try and we haven't got her, we need to get her a chest harness and see if that works. But the people who rescued her and brought her to us, they had the Halti already. It's not like we've come up with this out of nowhere. The lady was like, this works for her because she will pull otherwise, you know. And
it sort of just teaches her not to pull because pulling is uncomfortable.
But it does look cruel. I don't think it is. I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I don't know. Everything I've read seems to suggest it's not cruel. It's just it doesn't hurt her. It's maybe a bit uncomfortable if she pulls against it, but it teaches her not to pull against it. But it's not like a choker or anything that actually inflicts pain.
I don't think it looks cruel. I think it looks scary.
People give us looks.
But I think people are giving us looks because it looks like she's muzzled and they're like, oh, there's an angry dog that's going to bite me. Like, people give me space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, it's not a muzzle. She's a great dog.
I don't mind that. When I'm walking her at night with a Halti on, I actually quite like it. I don't mind people giving us a bit of space because if that makes me a tiny bit safer, so that's cool.
So we were walking and there's obviously another person who's like, we didn't take her for a walk at nighttime because she doesn't walk well. Like, she's getting better. But we just took her for a walk at nighttime. But there was a guy who's obviously got a very anxious dog. And the second the dog saw us, he started piercing, howling, jumping at the lead, pulling at the guy's lead. He was like really scared of Ellie. And then Ellie sort of noticed and was like, like making noises. And she does make noises at other dogs. But that other dog got so fired up that it just, after about 10 seconds, Ellie was like, I want to go over there. I want to go over there. And she managed to slip out of her Halti, which we had no idea it was loose enough. But she just went, and went, boom.
It happened so quick. I didn't even know what was going on. No. My brain took like a couple of seconds to catch up. Like, did that just fucking happen? Yeah. Oh God, I better fucking chase after her.
And she's sprinting at these people, and they're freaking the fuck out because she's a dense dog.
Yeah,
is coming at them like a bullet. And then I go and sprint and I'm running. I run across the road and
I'm a couple of seconds behind because, as I said, it took me a minute to process.
Yeah. And he's picked his big dog up and he's got his dog in the air. And I'd said Ellie, and so he'd heard me say Ellie, and he's saying Ellie, like he's saying Ellie to her.
Oh really? I missed that.
Yeah, he heard me say Ellie. And she's jumping up. I don't think she was trying to attack the dog.
No, I don't think she was being aggressive.
It was all just super weird.
I think she just wanted to go meet the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was jumping up on them and at them. And so I had to tackle her. And then I picked her up.
We were both trying to grab at her collar and she was like slipping away from us. And
she was really not listening. And it was just a bit scary. And then I picked her up and I carried her home. Like I had her tightly. And we took her like, let's get the fuck out of here. And we didn't get to exchange words with the guy either.
Yeah.
We just
you said sorry and he's like, that happens. That was kind
of... Oh, did he say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
he didn't sound like he meant it. He sounded mad.
Yeah.
So that happens. I don't think we wanted anything to do with each other.
I did say to him, I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. She just slipped straight out of her collar. Like I said it in the heat of what was going on.
I think you said it as you were running over.
Yeah. No, I think I said it when I was around him. I don't know. Either way.
So fast.
So we get her out, and here's the problem with the whole story, is that we were unbelievably high at the time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, you were. Yeah.
That was the night I tried the.
Oh, you had like an edible.
No, I tried oil.
Yeah. That's the same thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'd never tried oil before, and I was fucking stoned. I remember we went for a walk because I was feeling a little.
Yeah.
I was feeling a little claustrophobic and shut in, and I was like, I just need to get some air through my lungs and go for a walk. It was the fucking worst. And
it was our fault. We didn't check that it was secure on her. We didn't even. I don't think we even knew. She was still new at that point. We didn't quite know all of our responsibilities as dog owners, and we're still learning. It's first time, but yeah, that was a lesson learned, and very, very glad it didn't go worse than that. Like,
I mean, you weren't as high as I was. By the way, we should make it clear that we didn't just take the dog for a walk while we're kind of, I needed a walk, she needed a walk.
No, we just didn't realize. We didn't realize it was that easy for her to get out of that.
Yeah, and it isn't like you pull on it and it gets caught on her ears, but obviously she tugged so hard.
Also, we didn't realize that. I think if we had realized immediately that that's what she was trying to do, we could have stopped her, because she was just kind of like, looked like she was sniffing the ground or something.
You did tell me to grab her collar about 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I wasn't going to bring that up, but we should have. We should have grabbed her the second that thing started crying.
I thought it'd be fine. I was and grabbing her collar and pulling her, I was like, I'll be bent over. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's just get her out of here. Let's just go and she'll follow us. She did not. She fucking went bounding over.
but we learned a lesson.
We did.
And, you know, she walks much better now. We've
We started
looked
that.
up some training videos. We've got her following, you know, loose lead and everything.
She's also off the halty, which is nice.
Well, I still have it on, like I said, because it makes me feel a bit safer.
She listens to me a little bit with that sort of stuff. You know, I've got her walking on the lead and she doesn't pull. And
Yeah, I'm just aware that I'm not as strong. So if she decides she wants to take off, I can't really control her. So I would prefer to keep the halty on until I trust her a bit more.
I don't know if I can trust the halty. I didn't realize how goddamn easy it comes off.
It doesn't if we secure it properly, which we didn't that night.
Yeah. So, no, she's having a little nap on my book right now.
But
All right.
despite that, she's been great. She's really part of the family now. There was a while there where we were kind of like, you especially, were like, I don't know about this. I don't know if this was the right choice.
I fucking hated her.
We were really getting down in the dumps. But, you know, it was just the shock of a change, which we knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
And we were talking each other through it, like, you know, it's a transitional phase and it's going to feel uncomfortable for a while and we're going to be like, why did we do this? But I think we've come out on the other side and I love this little girl. And she loves me now. There was a little while there when she did not want to give me the time of day.
That was
and
hard.
she was obsessed with you.
Yeah.
And I was like getting real sad about it. I'm like, fucking, my own dog doesn't even like me. What is that about? But she started following me around and, you know, hanging out at my feet and stuff. And it's annoying, but it's like,
Yeah, it is nice to be liked.
Yeah, it is.
All right, we got to bring this thing to a close. We're going to go into the post show, everybody. Hey, listen, if you do like the podcast, we just transition to the end of the podcast out of a funny story, but I might as well take a moment here to say, get on the Patreon, patreon.com/the GMat podcast. You get more podcast, a little slice of more podcasts you can listen to. And me and Beck are going to go on and talk about, I don't know what we're going to talk
Real
about.
dirty stuff, so you're going to want to pay that money.
Hot shit.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about
Just
pounding that.
Okay, let's
Just
Jesus Christ.
fingering my ass. Hey, it's GMat here, and don't forget, if you enjoyed that episode of the GMat podcast and you want to hear more, we also have the podcast post show over at patreon.com/the GMat podcast. The post show is a shorter episode recorded directly after the main podcast where we wrap things up and talk about anything we didn't have time to talk about. $3 a month and cancel anytime. We are a community-supported podcast, so your support over there funds the show and makes it easier for us to keep doing what we love. If you want to support us, head over to patreon.com/the GMat podcast.